Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am beyond thrilled today. We are sitting down with a true icon of the 80s art scene. A man who took the streets of New York and put them on canvas. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Hey Calvin, I'm Jean-Michel Basquiat. Some people knew me as Samo back in the day when I was just writing on walls, but most know me as the guy who brought neo-expressionism to the galleries.
A legend. So let's take it back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on December 22nd, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York, the Brooklyn Hospital to be exact.
And what was your given name at birth?
Just Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Was there a story behind your birth name?
My father, Gerard, was Haitian and my mother, Matilde, was of Puerto Rican descent. They wanted something that felt strong and respected our roots. It always felt like a big name to live up to, you know?
Definitely. What was your hometown like growing up?
Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s was a mosaic. It was loud, colorful, and sometimes a bit rough, but it was alive. I spent a lot of time in the Brooklyn Museum. My mother was a member, and she'd take me there all the time. That place was my second home.
That's beautiful. What was your family life like?
It was complicated. My parents separated when I was young. I lived with my father and my sisters for a long time. We moved around, even lived in Puerto Rico for a couple of years. My mother was the one who really encouraged my art, though. She was very creative, but struggled with her mental health, which was tough on all of us.
I can imagine. What kind of kid were you?
I was bright, maybe a bit restless. I was a junior scholar at the Brooklyn Museum. I was always drawing on anything I could find. I wasn't the type to sit still in the classroom and just listen. I wanted to create my own world.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
Probably being ordinary. I had this intense drive to be known. When I was 7, I got hit by a car while playing in the street. I had to have my spleen removed. While I was in the hospital, my mother gave me a book called Gray's Anatomy. Looking at those diagrams of the human body, it was scary but fascinating. It changed how I saw everything.
That explains so much of the anatomical themes in your work. What did you dream of becoming as a child?
A cartoonist or an artist. I never really saw myself doing anything else. I wanted my drawings to be in the world, not just in a notebook.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I love languages. I grew up speaking English, Spanish, and French, but school itself, I ended up dropping out of Edward R. Murrow High School. I just didn't fit the mold. I went to an alternative school called City Ad School, which was way more my speed.
And what was your first job?
Selling hand-painted postcards and t-shirts on the streets of Lower Manhattan. I'd walk up to people, even famous people like Andy Warhol, and try to sell them my work for $5.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
When I started Samo with my friend Al Diaz. We were writing these poetic, satirical things on the walls of Soho. People started talking about it like it was high art, but we were just kids with spray cans. I realized I had a voice that people actually wanted to hear.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Leaving home at 17. I didn't have a plan, really. I was sleeping on friends' floors or on park benches. It felt like survival at the time, but it forced me to become the artist I became. If I hadn't left, I might never have found the scene in the East Village.
What was your biggest break?
The Times Square show in 1980. It was this massive DIY art exhibition in an abandoned massage parlor. That was the first time the art world really saw me. Then Rene Ricard wrote that article, The Radiant Child, in Artforum. After that, the rocket took off.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Just being hungry, man, literally, and being a black artist in a world that was very, very white. People didn't know where to put me. They called me primitive, which I hated. I was well read, I knew art history, but they just saw a kid from the streets.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. I didn't have a plan B. It was art or nothing.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I worked constantly. I'd have the TV on, music playing, books open on the floor, all at once. I needed that sensory overload to feed the paintings. I'd paint on doors, windows, refrigerators, anything was a canvas.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
Maybe a musician. I had a noise band called Gray. We weren't very good in a traditional sense, but we were loud and experimental. I loved the energy of the clubs.
What was your life like before fame?
Scrappy. It was all about the next meal, the next can of paint, and the next party at the Mud Club. It was a lot of freedom, but a lot of uncertainty too.
How did relationships change after success?
It got weird. Suddenly everyone wanted a piece of you. You don't know who's your friend because they like you or because they want a painting. It made me very guarded. But meeting Andy Warhol, that was special. We really pushed each other.
Did fame bring happiness?
It brought resources. I could buy all the Armani suits I wanted and paint in them. I could buy the best materials. But happiness? It's a lot of pressure. You're always expected to be the next big thing.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The isolation. You're at the top and it's lonely. People treat you like an object or a trophy. And the critics, they could be so cruel.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
That I was just some quote-unquote wild child who stumbled into success. I worked hard. I studied. My work was full of references to history, music, and anatomy. It wasn't accidental.
What was your darkest moment?
Losing Andy. When he died in '87, it hit me hard. He was one of the few people who really understood the madness of that world. I felt very adrift after that.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I wish I hadn't let the pressure get to me so much. I wish I had taken better care of myself. The world moves so fast, and sometimes you just want to slow it down, you know?
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
My relationship with the street. Even when I was selling paintings for thousands of dollars, people still wanted to see me as a graffiti artist. I was a painter. The street was just my first studio.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
My first trip to Europe for a show. It was chaotic. The galleries were pushy and I felt like a circus act. I ended up just painting over everything or working in a frenzy to get it done. I handled it by leaning harder into the work. It was the only place I felt in control.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
Completely. I went from sleeping in Washington Square Park to having a massive studio and traveling the world. But deep down, I was still the same kid with the sketchbook.
What personal battles were you fighting privately?
Just the weight of it all. Trying to stay relevant, trying to prove I wasn't a fluke, and dealing with my own demons and dependencies. It's hard to stay grounded when the floor is always moving.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother for opening my eyes to art, and Andy for showing me how to navigate the fame.
What was life like in your final years?
I was productive, but I was tired. I spent time in Hawaii trying to get away from the New York scene. I was looking for peace.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was moving toward more sparse, poetic works. Pieces like Writing with Death. I was stripping things back, looking for the soul of the image.
When and where did you pass away?
August 12, 1988, in my loft on Great Jones Street in Manhattan.
How did you pass away?
It was a drug overdose. I was 27.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I once dated Madonna before she was quote-unquote Madonna. We were just two kids trying to make it in the city.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
That I didn't actually paint my own work or that it was all a big prank on the art world. Believe me, every brushstroke was mine.
What was your most unique habit?
I'd work on several paintings at once. I'd walk from one to the other, adding a word here, a crown there. My studio was a forest of canvases.
What was your favourite food?
I love good cheese and expensive wine, but I also had a soft spot for simple things. I wasn't much of a cook. I liked going out.
Did you have a favourite restaurant?
I spent a lot of time at Mr. Chow's. It was the place to be.
What was your favourite book?
Aside from Grey's Anatomy, I loved anything by William Burroughs or Jack Kerouac. That beat poetry style really influenced my Samo days.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Mostly with the critics, but in the scene, it was more of a competitive energy. We all wanted to be the best.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Probably the photo shoot for the New York Times magazine where I was barefoot in a suit. It wasn't planned, I just didn't want to wear shoes that day, and it became this iconic look.
Did you ever prank someone?
I used to leave Samu tags in places people would never expect, just to see if they'd notice.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
Buying thousands of dollars worth of expensive art books just to cut them up and paste them onto my canvases. People thought I was crazy for destroying them, but to me, I was making them better.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Believe in your own vision, even if nobody else sees it yet. Don't let people put you in a box. And most importantly, keep drawing.
Jean-Michel, this has been an absolute honour. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
Just that I'm glad the work still speaks to people. Art is about being heard, and I'm happy to still be talking. Thanks for having me, Calvin. It's been a blast.
Wow, what a journey through the streets of New York and the mind of a genius. We talked about the crowns, the anatomy, and the relentless drive to be seen. Jean-Michel, thank you again for coming on the show. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.